I was growing up in Detroit, going to high school, and went to the Battle of the Bands freshman year. And we saw these really cool student bands and had a great time. And my friends and I were watching and noticed all the girls reacting to the band and the energy. It was a lot of fun. And we sat around and had big ideas freshman year about having a band. And so I volunteered to be the drummer. And the guy who was kind of quiet in our group wanted to be the bass player. He fit that mood. And then the guy who could never get a girlfriend wanted to play guitar. Fits the mold. And the good-looking guy was the lead singer. And we thought it couldn't fail. Couldn't fail. Well, it did fail, obviously. And we had a good time at first, but I really fell in love with the drums. I was tapping Wipeout on the lunch table at school all the time. I was sitting in the car with my parents driving, synchronizing my hands and my feet to the radio. I just loved it. And it just happened. And so I went out with my caddying money and I bought a snare drum. And then a couple months later, I got my other money saved up, went to a garage sale, got an orange hardwood sparkly drum set with black trim. And I would sit up in the attic where my dad had just put insulation so I wouldn't drive him crazy. And on 2 milk crates, I'd play the drums to the radio. And I'd learn from Bruce Springsteen and Queen and all sorts of these classic rock bands what I needed to do. We moved after my sophomore year to South Bend, Indiana, and on the orientation day, I met another transfer student. He played guitar. And quickly we got a band together, and I got a new drum set, a nicer drum set, and it went pretty well. We played barbecues and state fairs and had a lot of fun. But he showed me a couple chords about a year in, bar chords, and I fell in love with this new system. And here it is. Every animal does good but elephants. This is the basic chord structure. Let's see if I can put this down somewhere. I should say note structure of a properly tuned guitar. And this is where it all starts. Hopefully I won't break this thing. It's pretty simple. It's really important to understand this. That's where it all begins. And then you get a little more advanced, and you have scales and chords. You have thirds and fourths and fifths. It's crazy. But it's a system. It's got components. It's integrated to express something in its functioning, just like any other system. And being a math guy, I found that fascinating to me, that I could explore a system, but yet express myself artistically. It's a beautiful thing about music. It lets people do both. So I spent a lot of time doing this, and luckily my brother was a record collector. So from age 6 on, he's 5 years older than I am, he would play music constantly, and this music would just fill my head all the time, road trips, whatever. And so when I was learning songs, there's Buddy Holly, right? Here's the Beatles. Right? Here's the Indigo Girls. Right? It's all there, and you're reading it, and you know how it sounds. It's great. Today, I just get on the internet. I have the lyrics and the chords up. I have Rhapsody. I play the song I don't know that you guys listen to, and it does the same thing. I hear it, I see it, I play it. It's a wonderful thing. So, second semester, senior year, I didn't care about much other than graduating. I had already gotten into college. I had a job at a deli, and I was playing soccer for my team, my high school. And every other time I was playing my guitar till my fingers hurt, literally till they bled. And I'd put a clock up and I'd play more. I loved it. And I didn't care what anyone wanted to do. I'd say no to my friends. It was a great time. And I went to college, started getting my engineering degree. I'd come home and I'd talk about fluid mechanics and statics, all this crazy engineering classes that you don't want to know about. And my dad says, "You're filling your toolbox, Matt. You're filling your toolbox." He goes, one day you're going to need some of this stuff. You don't need it today or tomorrow, but one day it's good to have, just to access it. And I realized that's what I was doing with my guitar, too. I wasn't just learning the chords and the notes and the songs. I was learning the relationships between melody and lyrics and tone and rhythm. I was also managing the bands I was in. I was talking to people. I was learning all these skills. I didn't even know it. I was filling a toolbox. So in the end, I've been doing this for about 25 years. I've been writing songs. I love it. I love it. It doesn't have health insurance. It doesn't pay well, but I still do it. It's a great time. The thing is, you run into problems, right? You have to get creative about the system you're using. So, for instance, at band practice one night, I wanted to play this little riff I wrote with, chords and melody and lyrics and stuff, and I wanted a harmonica on it. Well, you didn't have the right key. So I took this little tool and shortened the strings, played the same chords in a different spot, totally changed the sound. The bass player can now kind of wander up a different range. It made a really big difference with the song. It was really cool, right? Other times, you can take a chord and just slide it up and down. That's what I did with a couple songs. Dave Matthews does it. A lot of people do it. It's just another way to get around a problem. Sometimes you tune a guitar down, or the notes, instead of Every Animal Does Good. It's called alternate tuning. And I'll play a little riff for you here, too. We had a record to finish, and we needed another song. So I went home and started screwing around with an alternate tuning. And again, you're just solving problems with what you know. Let's see here. So, sometimes you take the tuning and you just drop the one note. And again, I'm just manipulating the system, finding something that serves me well. There's my every animal, my every goes to a D instead of an E. And then I put the capo on and combine the drop. Ah, there we go. All sorts of ways you can play this thing. And I think I'm running low on time, so I'll get to my point. Here's the point. Why am I doing this? I'm showing off. Because I love it so much, but this is the point. This is your Every Animal Does Good but Elephants. As an exchange, as a trader, as someone involved in the industry, you are responsible for finding these new ways to connect things. This is the system. Do you ever trade the bean crush? It's oil and meal and soybeans. It didn't fall out of the sky. Somebody made it up. Somebody needed to make it up. They knew there was a relationship between the products and the products and the bean, and so they get long the bean and short the products. The cattle crush, you've probably never even heard of this thing. You buy 2 feeder cattle and a carload of corn, and they become 3 live cattle. Because that's what a feedlot does. It gets cows in the spring, feeds them, and sells them in the fall. And this is all traded, and it's all interconnected like a big spider web. And you can find these edges. You can create these things. Mortgage-backed securities didn't exist one time. Maybe it's for the worse, right? But they were there to help people either get an edge or maybe as an investment. It's all there for you to create. Manipulate the strings. Put the capo on the neck. Think about how you can connect things that don't necessarily get connected. And you can find an edge. You can find a new thing. Julie talked about innovation. That's what innovation is. It's taking the things that exist and finding ways to intersect them and serve something, make somebody's life better. In the end, that's why we're all here. So, 3 things. This is my wordy slide. I don't like wordy slides, but this is my wordy slide. 3 things I want you to remember. okay? The first thing, you need to know the system. You can't just show up and start playing the guitar. You need to know it well enough so you can be creative. Anson Dorrance is the coach of the North Carolina soccer team. He's won 17 national championships. My favorite phrase, right? Knowing what to do is easily compromised by being unable to do it. If you don't know what you're doing and you have an idea and you don't know how to execute it, what good's the idea? So you got to fill your toolbox. Eddie Van Halen never took a guitar lesson. He took classical piano lessons in Holland from 6 to 12 years old. They moved to LA, kind of poor, and he just got a guitar and made sounds. He didn't take lessons. That's what I'm talking about. Wayne Gretzky practiced in a rink in northern Manitoba with his dad doing drills. Guy could see 5 passes ahead because he knew it so well. The second thing, believe that failure and limitations are opportunities. You know, my harmonica player didn't have the right key for the song, so we made do, and it made it all that much better. Ernest Shackleton, if you haven't heard about this guy, you need to read about him. The endurance. He was stuck on an ice floe for a year with about 25 other guys. They finally landed in the South Pole, and they walked with their rescue boats to an island where they could be safe and shoot seals for food until they got rescued. Well, the rescue wasn't coming. So they got in a rescue boat that's 20 feet long, outfitted it for a 900 nautical mile trip to another island just off of South America to get a rescue boat. They had to go over a mountain range on this island. It's an incredible story. And they love him. They rescued the crew. It's all true. 1914. There's no geo anything. It's all nerve, hope, creativity, determination, leadership. It's an incredible story. I love the scene in Apollo 13 where the engineers are handed this just pile of junk on the table and they say, the 3 guys up there are going to die of asphyxiation because they don't have CO2 scrubbers. You need to build something. You have 5 hours. And the engineers have these, it looks like Legos and bags and duct tape. They have to create something to save these lives. That's what's a beautiful thing. You can do that too. Last, and this is really critical, feed the beast. Everybody wants to work and make money and learn all this stuff, but you also have to calm down. You have to travel, you have to journal, you have to read, you have to sleep, you have to talk to people to find these intersections. Let your brain click all these things. Like the good professor said, it works in certain ways. You've got to make it work for you. Van Gogh and Edison are perfect examples. Tireless and prolific, but they weren't crazy maniacs about one thing. They were constantly reading, talking to people, although Van Gogh was kind of a crazy maniac, wasn't he? Thing is, they did things in their lives other than what you know them for. And that's what they took the greatest pleasure in doing. They didn't care about the success as much as they did the other parts of their lives. So the last thing, one of my favorite movies, maybe it's one of yours, The Shawshank Redemption. When you have a hammer and you dig a tunnel to get to the end, it takes a lot of persistence and hope and dedication. So I hope that with your career in this financial world that's getting trickier and harder by the minute, I hope you believe that you can find something that makes lives better and is satisfying to you. So thanks for listening. I appreciate the time.